Hi, I'm Cindi Meyersohn, CEO of DataRebels, and I am here this morning with Dan Linstedt, the CEO of Data Vault Alliance and the inventor and creator of the Data Vault solution. So, we are announcing our new 2.1 curriculum, which will start launch in September of this year. So, this fall, we're super excited. And Dan is going to be doing a roadshow to introduce and teach this material for the first time. So, one of the questions we've been getting is, what exactly does 2.1 offer over the traditional 2.0 class, and what are the enhancements or what are the latest extensions that we're going to be talking about with regard to 2.1? And is the methodology changing? I guess would be something important. What's changing? Do we have new standards, etc.? So, Dan, if you don't mind, just let us know what it is that is going to be happening with 2.1 and why you're so excited about bringing this class and delivering this class to the students.
Sure, sure. Well, first off, it is a 2.1 release. It's not a 3.0 release, so it's not ground shaking and disturbing volcano eruption blasting kind of stuff. But there are some differences, and there are some really cool things that are new that are coming. The first thing is that we start talking about data lakes in conjunction with the Data Vault architecture. We talk about the medallion architecture and where it fits and why we've had it all these years. It's been a part of the Data Vault architecture from the beginning. We talk about data hubs and we talk about data virtualization, when to use it, how to position it, when it's appropriate. We introduce the ideas of data fabric, which is up and coming. It's just growing and learning and being documented now. The vendors are starting to build solutions or tool solutions or platforms, but data fabric's not really mature enough yet. Forgive me, vendors, but it isn't. Um, but it's coming. So lots of new things. We also go to the people side and we talk a lot more about discipline agile delivery. In fact, we've got Scott Ambler coming with us for some of these kickoff courses, teaching his workshop for how to execute the people side of the workflows and be more agile as teams and work effectively as teaming. But we've put a lot of that material, again, with Scott's blessing, and he's been over the materials, into the Data Vault 2.1 course. So we've added roles and responsibilities and how they map into the Data Vault 2.1 stuff or methodology, if you want to call it that, right? And we've gone a lot further to also talk about what the business analyst is responsible for and how to be more agile with its teams in terms of getting the use cases to the IT teams for build processes and making that a faster turnaround time through the use of ontologies and taxonomies. Those are more tools that we discuss, enterprise metadata catalogs and how they work with the virtualization tooling and the automation tooling, and as well as the acceleration of the teaming aspect. So we spent a lot of time focusing on how the team gets the work done and how do we teach the team to go from, say, 2-week sprints down to 1-day sprints or 1-day iterations. And again, that's encompassed in a development environment working with development data. So don't take it away that we're doing all the QA and all the master data and all the data cleansing and quality work. Those are all separate sprints. You got to remember that that's supposed to be that way, right? But what we're talking about is taking a 2-week development cycle down to a 1-day development cycle and literally taking the use case in the morning and getting it turned into the BI, at least some form of BI outcome, by the afternoon, so that the BA is working continuously with the team and getting these outcomes going. Now, in terms of data lakes, I want to go down that road for a minute, or should I say data dock, right? We're going to talk about the dock into the lake from the lake house, right? So let's put some acronyms together. But in terms of the data lakes, we talk about data junkyards and data swamps, and we define these for you, data dumps, and what the maturity curve looks like and what you should be doing in governing your data lake and how to make that effective. and leveraging your data lake as part of your conceptual staging area in your data lake house or your data warehouse, or a combination of the two, depending on what you want to do with it, right? How to leverage the data that is already there in the data lake effectively and efficiently, so you don't have to rebuild or reconstitute or boil the ocean to get these things done. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. It just all dovetails together, and it's a beautiful way forward. One of the other things that we introduce, but we don't really dive into yet, these will be coming in the near future in advanced courses, is how to deal with audio, video, image, and text documents or documentation, and what to do with all the pre-processing steps through the AI. And you can see a lot of this in action by looking at the Databricks tool sets or platforms. They do a lot of this kind of thing inside the data lake and prepping the data for use and making it usable and pulling out feature extraction and all that. But we pull back the covers conceptually and logically and process wise and talk about some of those advanced components and how to get data into your warehouse and make use of this, what we call semi and unstructured data set in that world. One of the other things that we bring to the table from a technological standpoint, so we've covered the people standpoint, we've covered the process, so we've got methodology upgrades, we've got architectural upgrades, we've got better ways of working and getting together and all of that. So we've done a lot of work around those components to really show the facets of it. But from a technology standpoint, a lot of the standards stay the same. A lot of the recommended practices stay the same, except we've added some new standards. So now we're talking about a couple of things. One is the use of JSON in native format. So how do you leverage JSON in your stage area, in your data lake, in your persistent file store? How do you, without reformatting it, how do you leverage it inside of the technology like Snowflake or Teradata, or take your pick, Azure SQL and so on? How do you leverage it through the raw vault process, or how do you leverage it into the business vault? What does it mean to have a JSON hub or a JSON satellite or a JSON link? How do we do this? What are the recommended practices, and what does the structure look like, and when should we do this and when shouldn't we do this? And we go on to talk about restructuring data and when restructuring data is acceptable as a practice and so on. But one of the things I'm most excited about is the fact that the technology platforms, the data management systems, and all the technology has now reached a critical point where we can actually start focusing on the logical modeling and conceptual modeling a lot more, with taxonomies, ontologies at the conceptual level, bringing us into the hubs, links, and satellites, or the business keys at the logical data vault model level, and then separating that from the physical. In other words, getting into the physical layers and saying, look, do we really need to build hubs, links, and satellites at a physical level? In some cases, the answer is yes. So we talk about when, why, and how. And in some cases, the answer is no. What do you mean no? Well, yeah, what I mean is we're separating the logical from the physical. And in some cases, the physical model is a JSON store. The physical model is denormalized. Like BigQuery, you've got these large, fat, wide tables. You still have joins, but you're going to denormalize things. In Cassandra or Hadoop, you're going to denormalize things. So in some cases, we start talking about, the leverage that the platforms bring to the table, because they bring a lot of performance gains by doing these kinds of things. And so I'm really excited to start focusing on the differences in teaching these concepts. And we've been talking about this for years, and we've been teaching people for years that the logical model is more important than the physical. But a lot of folks, when they hear that, including students, they let it go. It goes right past them for whatever reason. It goes, I won't say over their head. I'm sure they get it, but they don't see it in practice. Well, now in 2.1, you're going to see it in practice, and you're going to actually work with it. And if you know anything about schema on read, this is schema on read, right? You've got your schema defined logically in a data vault modeling fashion. And then your physical is your structure. So you're going to overlay your logical model physically on your physical structure. So Jason, for instance, has a bunch of nested stuff where it's a denormalized in some ways. This is what we're talking about. So schema on read is a great way to think about it conceptually. And this is part of what's coming in 2.1.
Are we doing anything more with workshops or in-class type of hands-on exercises with
Yeah,
this?
yes. The workshop is being revamped to add more agility and discipline agile processes so that you work closely, you learn the materials and you work closely as a team in the workshops, in the class to get things done in a more agile fashion. So absolutely. And we're talking about more hands-on as well, but I think the hands-on will be again relegated to self-paced and download code and run on your own time and learn and poke through it.
So, all right. So when are we going to be in launching this? I thought you might want to talk just a moment about that. 2.1. When is it coming and
We're
where
launching in
first?
Finland in September, and I'm going to
Okay.
be there, you're going to be there, and Scott Ambler will be there in person, all three of us really, and we're all helping with the Agile workshop at the end. And then, of course, Scott has his own one-day Agile workshop for executives, I think, and management
For leadership, yeah.
leadership. And it's just you couldn't have a better setup or a better opportunity to really get your heels in to 2.1 and understand where it is, what it is, and how it moves you forward.
Yeah. And we're also going to start in the US. So we're going to be launching in the US in Raleigh the week of September 9th, which is exciting. So we chose the Research Triangle area to launch 2.1. And so then we take it to Europe in the following week into Helsinki. So, yeah, we're excited. We've got a lot of things coming up and down the East Coast this fall. And I think it's important for people to know that you are actually going to be teaching this class. So we're getting you out of your bunker up in Vermont, and we're moving you along and giving people an opportunity to meet you and rub elbows with you. We've got a number of meet and greets scheduled. So for each location that we're planning on launching, there will be one evening where we have a meet and greet with you. People have an opportunity to just sit and talk with you. So 2.1 is the launch for 2.1 is not just the new material, it's also an opportunity for people to meet you in person. And I think that's really exciting and ask questions. I know my classes always enjoy talking to you, when you visit us virtually. So it'll be great to have you with us physically. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, as you just said, I've been in my bunker and well, I've been working on 2.1,
Yeah.
right? So heads down on all of this stuff. But now it's time to teach it and share it with the world, and I can't wait.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Dan, for taking the time this morning.
Thank you.